Today on Locked On Rockies, despite Jake McCarthy's monster weekend, the Cardinals knock out the Rockies.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 10th day of August in the year 2026. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here. Free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. And on today's show, we're recapping the Cardinals series, where the Rockies had chances to win the series. The Rockies had some performances here that should have given the Rockies enough of an edge to get the job done, but that's not the case, as the Rockies drop another series in St. Louis and another road series here. But a historic weekend for Jake McCarthy, as the Rockies have found, at least right now, their solution to the leadoff spot, because unfortunately we said that before, so we'll have to put at least a little bit of a damper on the weekend. But we can't deny the fact that Jake McCarthy has been incredible for the Colorado Rockies. We'll dive into that, and I just want to talk a little bit about the importance of run differential and why the Rockies being so bad in the run differential tells the story of the season. We'll dive into all that and more on today's episode. But before we do that, got to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Join all the action at FanDuel.com to play daily dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer this MLB season. And I am, of course, Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk, as I have for over 6 seasons now. That's hundreds of episodes of the Locked On Rockies podcast, going through the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between when it comes to Rockies baseball. And unfortunately, we have to put this series into the more of the ugly column, as the Rockies fall in 2 out of 3 to the Cardinals. Have a great day there in the second one in a hard-fought game, but a couple of all close games. Great signs. Obviously, the Rockies end up dropping the finale by 3, but they tied a game up late, including a monster home run from Hunter Goodman to tie it up. Brett Sullivan also gets the a big home run to get the Rockies within 1. They chip away. They show the hard fight, but they're unable to get the job done. And really, in this one here, a big thing to go away with it is the starting pitching. Again, Michael Lorenzen continues to just labor through starts. I mean, he has not been able to get to a point where he's able to be efficient enough to lower his league leading most innings pitched per inning. And those guys, they'll chip away. It's on those hot dog days, it's going to be a bigger pain. And Lorenzen only goes there the 4 1/3, allowing the 2 earned runs. And the Willie Castro error, it's not an error. It was the throw was good. He needs to secure that ball. He needs to hold on to it, sure, but I don't know. The broadcast spent a long time focusing on that as well. But so Lorenzen, in terms of statistically, gets a little bit of a break, because a couple of those earned runs don't actually count for him, due to them officially scoring it as an error for that play at Castro at second. But the Rockies, on top of that, Tanner Gordon gives up a run. Mashinsky also gives up a run. The Rockies pitching staff unable to keep the Cardinals off the board and unable to back up their offense that was able to put another 4-run, 10-hit performance. But here's what happened in Game 1 and Game 2. Sure, the Rockies were able to get 4 runs in the finale, bounce back, tie it up late. Awesome to see. But the Rockies in this one also, they end up going 3 for 8 with runners in scoring position, able to capitalize here with Goodman getting the home run and the single to get the Rockies on top. But in the finale, multiple times, especially early there, where the Rockies had traffic, the Rockies had opportunities, and going up against a guy that had been struggling in his most recent starts in McGreevy, but he's able to bounce back and go 102 pitches there. Gets the Brett Sullivan hits him with the home run, but the Rockies here couldn't land that blow against him when they had him on the ropes multiple times. And that flashes back to the first game of this series where the Rockies out-hit the Cardinals and they can't get anybody to cross. I mean, the Rockies offense is the difference maker here. I mean, obviously good starts and everything are going to be the reason why the Rockies are going to be able to come away with wins here. But when you out-hit your opposition by 6, you got to win that game. But the Rockies go 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position there in that ball game. So obviously, I don't know if it's the most fair comparison here to combine the two, as the Rockies they're going 3 for 8 with runners in scoring position is a lot better. But you're talking in the 2 losses here, the Rockies go 3 for 18 with runners in scoring position, and the offense is the driver. When the offense is going to the pitching staff, and in game 1 there was a certainly the pitching wasn't a big problem. 3 runs should not be an insurmountable amount for the Rockies. Sure, Feltner gets roughed up there, but after 5 1/3, the Rockies bullpen gets scoreless innings from their 3 bullpen arms. Is setting the stage and setting the opportunity for the Rockies to get on the board and do some damage, especially considering the fact that they pick up 10 hits in that one. But when you go over, and guys, including some important names going over in this situation in Moniak and Goodman here, that's a problem. That's a bummer. 3 runs is not diabolical. 3 runs is not something that should be too much for the Rockies to overcome. In the finale, the Rockies tied it up at 4 before, unfortunately, things came apart there in the 8th inning, where between Mashinsky and Gordon there, they end up giving up the 3 earned runs between the 2 of those arms there. You got to be able to capitalize. The Rockies certainly had their chances, and that game 2, the Rockies played. That's the version of Rockies baseball that's the most fun, and the one that should be the most successful for the Rockies. The kind of the blueprint for how they can win ball games was that game 2, where was it a phenomenal start? No. But it was certainly enough for the Rockies to stay in it, and the Rockies really had to lean on the bullpen, considering the fact that Kyle Freeland only goes 4 1/3. He gives up 3 runs, only one of them earned, allowing the 3 walks in that situation. But the Rockies go 3 for 8 with runners in scoring position in this game, similar to how they did in the finale. But then they also steal a bunch of bases here. They manufacture runs. They get hits. The Rockies were racking up hits throughout this series. I believe if I do a quick click through here for all of these games, I believe it's double-digit hits for the Rockies in every single one of these games. Let me double check here in the finale. Yes, the Rockies had at least 10 hits in all 3 of these ball games. We're talking 30 hits from the Colorado Rockies offense, one of the better ones in all of baseball. Yet that offense gets outscored. What is that? 14 runs scored from the Rockies there. They get outscored 14-16. So it was close in terms of overall run differential and everything there. But the Rockies offense there, they have to land those killing blows. They have to be the ones that are able to go out there and put the Rockies over the top. The starting pitching, the pitching staff in general, even with the fact that the Rockies held on to some of their bullpen arms, it's shaky. It's not consistent enough. But as much as there were issues and flaws with Rockies pitching here, the Rockies offense missed out on their opportunities in this series, especially when you're talking about the fact that they were getting hits, they were getting traffic, they were positioning themselves to do damage against St. Louis, especially like we talked about going into this season. The Cardinals are an average team, right in the middle of the pack when it comes to pitching. A team pitching at 15th in earned run average. They're 21st when it comes to whip at 1.34, and they got a batting average against at 253 there, and that's 26th in the league. So this was a situation here where the Rockies they failed to capitalize, but on the flip side, the Cardinals, they capitalized on their opportunities. They went out and got the job done. They came up in the clutch situations. Were able to do enough with just those 4 hits in that first one, including the home run there that Feltner gave up. in that game one, and then in the finale here, especially in that eighth inning where the Rockies tie it up, put the pressure back on the Cardinals. How do they respond? A 3 spot to basically, knock out the Rockies and end all the fun as they go 4 for 13 with runners in scoring position in that finale as well. So every time the Cardinals basically had those runners in scoring position, I'm sorry, I flipped the scores there, but still. 4 for 13 with runners in scoring position. The Rockies, unfortunately, they were not able to bounce back enough, and it's just another one of those situations. Oh, here we go, game tied up, or take the lead late, and it all falls apart right after that. Great to see the Rockies be able to score runs late in games. Not great to see the fact that they can't close them out and continue to capitalize on that. All right, that was the bummer. That was the bummer stuff. But let's talk about the fact that the Rockies' leadoff guy, Jake McCarthy, had an absolutely monster, insane weekend, and he continues to set the tone for the Rockies and be exactly what the Rockies need at the leadoff spot in the order. That's coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Amazon. A big thank you to our friends at Amazon for this limited break. This back-to-school season, spend less on your kids with Amazon, and it's ramping up, folks. Unfortunately, each day, every time that you hear the podcast, that just means back to school is creeping up faster and faster and faster and faster. Unfortunately, when it comes, I'm an August birthday here. I'm a second half of the month August birthday. My birthday usually means first day of school time, so don't get caught off guard with the back-to-school list. Amazon has you covered with great deals and the convenience you need, so you're not running around all over the place and spending big bucks, I should say, to make sure that you got everything you need to cover their butts for this season. When you're buying supplies and finding yourself asking how a calculator become one of the more expensive items in the cart, you're not going to start expecting math to start costing you money before school even begins. You'll figure it out because Amazon's got you covered with all the great deals that you need. And make sure that you don't get caught off guard by the total, right? Amazon's going to give you those prices that are going to knock out the competition and make sure that you are giving your kids exactly what they need to succeed at a great price. So remember, with Amazon's low back-to-school prices, just spend less on your kids because every dollar you don't spend on them is a dollar you haven't spent on them. Shop back to school at Amazon and spend less. Yes, spend less on your kids. Locked On Rockies back with you all here. Segment number 2 of today's show. Again, thank you so much for all your support. Make sure you head on over to the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Fire off your Rockies hot takes. Lots of you chiming in about where the Rockies are at right now, what the importance is of avoiding 100 losses, or who cares if they lose 100 losses. Let me know in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section. Be part of the show. Fire off those takes. I know we got a lot on the mind when it comes to Rockies fans. People will be like, what's going on? Do people care about the Rockies? Heck yeah, they care about the Rockies because you're out there letting me know, and this team has got a lot of intrigue, a lot of interest behind it because Rockies fans want to see results. And we saw results from Jake McCarthy here. Holy cow. Jake McCarthy here. He had in this series 14 at-bats. 14 at-bats for Jake McCarthy in this game, or in this series. He had 9 hits. He had the 3 RBI and the big win there in game number 2 for his historic performance here. Let me make sure that I go back and read exactly all of the significance of what Jake McCarthy did on Saturday here for the Rockies. And man, what an opportunity. Again, the Rockies to have a unique and big threat at the top of the order is just such a treat and a blessing for the Rockies here. It's something that really sets the tone. The broadcast mentioning the pairing of McCarthy and Carrig. This offense is fun to watch, despite the loss, despite the frustrations here over the weekend here. The fact that this offense can generate, the fact that this offense is able to stay in games, thanks to the fact that they got some guys that are really performing here, is amazing here. And this is from OptiStats here from the Saturday's game. Jake McCarthy for the Rockies. 4 hits, 4 runs, 2 home runs, 2 stolen bases, leadoff home run. No one else in Major League Baseball history. No one else. It's amazing. Again, it's a random stat that has a bunch of factors that go into it. But you think about baseball and its history. No one else in Major League Baseball history has done all of that in one game. This is from Just Baseball here. Qualified outfielders hitting over 300 with an 850 plus OPS. Jake McCarthy. End of list. Skylar Timmons. Jake McCarthy joined Shohei Ohtani as only player since 1920 to have 4 hits, 4 runs, 2 home run, and 2 stolen bases in one game. What makes Jake McCarthy so special is the fact that is he going to be the biggest power threat? No, but he can hit home runs. Is he going to be maybe the best base stealer in all of baseball? No, but he's got 20 stolen bases so far this season. Jake McCarthy is a wonderful leadoff threat for a guy that can do a lot. The fact that he's also speedy in the outfield, plays multiple positions here. When I think about it, and when I think about the fact that the Rockies, and again, if you listen and remember to my commentary, I was a little bit critical of the trade deadline here. I think it makes more sense to have McCarthy on the squad here versus keeping someone like Moniak, and I know that's crazy to say. Obviously, Moniak with the extension, good to see. But I like the fact that Jake McCarthy is just such an impressive threat across the board. The caveat and the thing that we have to remind ourselves here, especially as we're getting excited about McCarthy and the fact that and this and in a great season and all that jazz. We were pretty hyped up about the last time the Rockies had a dynamic threat at the leadoff position, and we saw what happened and what ended up happening with Brenton Doyle and where that ended up with the Rockies trading him. Obviously, they're not 1-for-1, but I'm just saying that is still sticking in the back of my mind a little bit before I want to get too overly excited. But it's impossible to not sit here and say that Jake McCarthy has not been amazing and one of the better players in baseball this season, and one of the better players in baseball, especially over the last month here. Let's just go through on MLB.com. Let's go last 7 games, last 15 games, and last 30 games, just to set the stage and set the tone for how great he has been in over basically the last month and really throughout this season here. Last 7 games for Jake McCarthy. That's 32 at-bats. He's got 15 hits in that time. 3 of them are home runs, 8 RBI. He's got 3 stolen bases. He's got 1 strikeout. In his last 32 at-bats, Jake McCarthy has 1 strikeout. That's a .469 average, a .455 OBP, and a slugging of .844. Now let's zoom out a little bit further here. Last 15 games, 69 at bats there. He's scored 13 times. He's had 21 hits. The 3 home runs continue there. The RBI increases to 11. The strikeouts, well, they zoom out up to that 10. So obviously the strikeouts creep back up, and the 3 stolen bases stay there at a .304 average, 300 OBP, and a slugging of .536. Okay. A little bit of a dip there as you go into a 2-week sample size. But now let's zoom it out to a full month here. Last 30 games for Jake McCarthy, the leadoff player here for the Rockies. And just a reminder here, as they note here on MLB.com, he's played 52 games in left, 45 games in center, and 20 games in right field. Jake McCarthy has versatility where he can play in the outfield as well. 127 at-bats in that time. He's scored 23 times. He has 41 hits in that time, 6 home runs, 26 RBI, 3 walks. The strikeouts, another 10 on there, 21. Obviously, strikeouts always going to be a problem, always something tough. But over the last month here, we're talking 7 stolen bases, a .323 average, a .351 OBP, and a slugging of .567. Massive monster performance here for Jake McCarthy as he continues to be setting the tone and setting the stage for what is right now a career year, and hopefully it continues as the season goes on, because right now, if the season were to end today, he would be setting a career high in batting average, OBP, slugging, OPS. He's got a career high in RBI. He's got a career high in home run right now. He has tied a career high in triples. He has a career high in doubles, and he's about 13 hits shy of a career high in hits, and he's played in 39 games less than his 2024 numbers there, where he played in 142 games. He's at 103 games here, and he's already setting the stage and setting the table here for his most successful season of his career, showing what he can do and showing the type of impact he can have for the Colorado Rockies. So for the Rockies to sit there and say, and to evaluate Jake McCarthy at the trade deadline and say, we didn't get enough to move on from this guy that we know can be an impact and be a guy that's going to be a game changer for us. It's paying off here in the fact that McCarthy, since coming to the Rockies, is performing at a career high level. There's obviously a lot that can happen in between. There's still another 40 plus games and what is actually closer to 50 plus games, I think, at this stage, where things might shift. But Jake McCarthy is already setting career milestones, and Jake McCarthy is settling into a level of comfort and a level of production with the Colorado Rockies that you can't sit here and ignore and not be excited about. Jake McCarthy has been wonderful for the Colorado Rockies this year and has been a great answer and a great table setter at the leadoff position for the Rockies. A guy that can hit for some sneaky power, steal bases, and play defense. We just talked about how if Brenton Doyle can do those things, he's going to be a special player. He wasn't able to be the consistent enough on offense. Hopefully, this is the question mark, obviously, is Jake McCarthy is consistency, doing it year over year, being able to replicate this, making this the norm and the standard. But right now, we're seeing an amazing and historic performance in some instances from the Rockies leadoff guy. Again, we're talking about a dude that just played in a 3 games. He had 9 hits in 13 at-bats. That's crazy. Throwing a couple of stolen bases and only 1 strikeout in that series. Man, oh man, was he amazing against the Cardinals, and he has been awesome at the top of the lineup for the Colorado Rockies. So we'll have to see, and hopefully it carries on there. All right, let's talk a little bit about run differential, look a little bit to this Diamondback series, all coming up next as the Rockies are trying to get those 17 key wins to avoid 100 losses. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes FanDuel. Baseball fans, if you think you know who's hitting a homer today, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with Daily Dingers. It's easy to play. Just make your free pick for who you think will hit a home run in their next game. If you're right, you'll receive a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. Best of all, you can make a free pick every day throughout Major League Baseball's season. Daily Dingers is another fun way to stay engaged with every day's game. Whether you're following your favorite team or keeping an eye on matchups across the league, every game has someone capable of going deep. Now you get the chance to make your prediction before first pitch. And Diamondbacks, Rockies, hey, home runs are usually a factor. Maybe Nolan Arenado against his old team. Maybe Hunter Goodman continues to swing that hot bat on the road. Maybe you want to go with the Willie Castro power surge, or perhaps back up on Jake McCarthy there after his big weekend. If you are ready to play your game today, join all the action at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play Daily Dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball. We are also brought to you by Odoo. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focus on growing the business instead of managing software. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working towards the same goal, and that's true in sports just like it is in business. It's not just one great player or coach. It's a coordinated effort across the entire organization that's going to make it successful. Great organizations win because operations matter, and that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/locked-on. Segment number 3, Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much again for joining us here and making us your first listen of the day. Folks, we are free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. We're on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel where lots of you have chimed in. We'll read a couple of comments here before we hit the road as we get the pitching matchup here. But I just wanted to highlight, and I think one thing that really emphasized where the Rockies go wrong so often is the fact that they have that horrible run differential. The Rockies' offense is good enough to score a lot of runs. The Rockies' pitching staff, unfortunately, not good enough to prevent a lot of runs. And so when they get to these close games, when you get to the back and forth games, when you get to these issues here, when you're looking at the fact that the Rockies have a negative 110 run differential, well, that's the problem. 568 runs scored, 678 runs allowed. Obviously, that's a simple thing, but with the fact that the pitching is inconsistent and the pitching doesn't have enough or it hasn't been able to be successful enough in limiting damage, that's what gets the Rockies. That's what gets the Rockies in extra trouble. That's what costs the Rockies the close games, the close series. The pitching staff has to be successful in preventing the runs against because the Rockies' offense is so strong at scoring runs. Now, it's not a one-for-one thing. The Pittsburgh Pirates are plus 21. They're still fourth in their division and below 500. Obviously, there's some give and take here and some issues. But when you're looking at how the Rockies lose the first game, lose the game 3 in this Cardinals series, it goes back to those issues with just how many runs that the Rockies pitching staff and defense allow. 678 runs allowed is the most allowed in baseball. Just the only team that has allowed that it's close. 674 is the Athletics. One thing that's crazy to look at here, as the Athletics are 47-71, just one more win than the Rockies. They're at minus 164. We're talking. That's real bad, real bad. Because the Rockies negative 110, that's real bad. But it's amazing to see a team have similar to that. But look, the teams that are in minus triple digits when it comes to run differential or really even close to that, guess where they're sitting in terms of record here. The Rockies at minus 110, they're 46-72. When you go and you look at the Angels at negative 91, 45-73. The Athletics minus 164 when it comes to the run differential, 47-71. The entire National League West has negative run differentials. I'm not National League West, American League West. Isn't that crazy? The Royals, negative 110, they're at 49-70. So when you're looking at teams there with the 4 still on the win column, with the exception being the Giants at negative 63 at 49-69, that's a pretty good deciding factor there, right? So as that's what just adds to the frustration of some of these too. Is, man, the Rockies certainly do score a lot of runs. 568, where that's a darn good number. That's got them at the tops in one of the better scoring offenses in baseball. But then they give up more runs than anybody. And that's a huge problem that obviously has been the issue with the Rockies forever. So it's just one of those little things too, and just kind of, I think we saw it on full display here in this series. Weren't big blowouts, weren't big issues, but the fact that the Rockies pitching staff can't get those clean innings, can't get those quality starts, can't be efficient there, it sinks them and makes it a problem here. Rockies are going to be going to another tough place to play here, and they're going to be taking on Michael Soroka here, who's 8-3 with a 3.07 ERA, a 1.09 WHIP, in 82 innings worth of work. He's got 79 strikeouts in that time. He's walked 17, though. Obviously, something we always always keep our eyes on, and only 6 home runs there as well, as the Diamondbacks are going to be coming into this series just after beating the Dodgers and trying to solidify themselves as the number 2 team, the wild card team from the National League West. So we know that the Diamondbacks, always a pain for the Rockies to play, especially in Arizona, and Arizona's leading the season series here. Jeez Louise, a little frog in my throat. Coming into this series 5-2 so far. So this will be the last time the Rockies are in Arizona, as this really tough road trip continues to roll on. Let's get a couple of quick comments here. The Rockskate Troll says, in one offseason, our new front office has completely retooled the entire offense for contention. That's true. Also following up, thinking that they might be in a wild card contention next year. I don't know if I'm ready to say that, but they have improved. They are certainly in a better spot. And Molly the Pit Lab says, the season is a resounding success as far as I'm concerned. They improved a lot this year and are way more fun to watch. Not going to freak over the Tampa Bay series. They're one of the best teams in baseball. They stayed with them, should have closed the door, but didn't. Still a positive step. And that's been the case for the Rockies in a lot of these games as well. They've been in them. Sucks that they haven't won them, but you can't say they haven't been in them. The Rockies certainly have shown a ton of fight this year, and let's hope that they can go out there and play a little spoiler ball in the National League West. Folks, that's going to do for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, go check out all the great stuff on Locked On MLB that we got for you. Back to the bullpen, Locked On MLB Game Night, and of course, Locked On MLB. Plus, we got you covered with Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, and Buffs, all free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.